After many years of waiting, Rick Grimes is back once again to lead The Walking Dead in The Ones Who Live, and after its first episode, there seems to be a positive reaction that this could be a pretty good spin-off. Recently, we had Dead City, which I thought was okay, then we had Daryl Dixon, which was better than expected, but didn't quite reach those levels required to get people back on board with The Walking Dead, and then we had Fear the Walking Dead finish its run, and that was, well, pretty bloody awful.
Oh, it's bad. Excuse me, kids, I need to run. Ow!
The Ones Who Live was always going to gather the most interest because, of course, Rick Grimes is back, but also Michonne's in it as well. So you have two main players here back in their own show, and of course, they are the leading couple of The Walking Dead. In this first episode, the focus is mainly on Rick, which makes sense considering there's been a longer time away from his character than there has been Michonne. And so here we really get to understand what's been keeping Rick away all this time and why he hasn't been able to return back to the group. Seeing Andrew Lincoln slot back into the role of Rick Grimes was amazing to see, and he's brought back that grittiness to The Walking Dead, which I think's been severely lacking from some of the other spin-offs and also the end of the show. And so having that back, I think, was a great thing, especially for the first impression of this spin-off. And I said in the previous video that it was vital for The Ones Who Live to have a good first impression because there are going to be so many people coming back to The Walking Dead who used to watch it for Rick Grimes. And what we've got here is an episode which ends in a way where I think it'll get people sucked into the drama because Rick and Michonne have now met up. They have reunited. We don't know how it's going to go yet. We'll have to see that in the next episode, but that's already happened, already. A lot of people might have thought that might happen towards the end of the season, but that's not the case. And I think that was probably a good idea because, if they did wait it out that long, it would be a bit predictable. That's what we were thinking was going to happen. So they've already thrown a little bit of a curveball in there to try and keep people going and keep people tied into this show. However, there are some cracks which are showing themselves, which do concern me. And a lot of that comes down to Scott Gimple, the showrunner. In the latter half of the Walking Dead main show, one of the reasons why those seasons were so poor is because of how they were constructed. We'll get many different bottle episodes, our characters will be so spread thin, and also many times we'll see the story progress, but then it'll go backwards just to find out how certain characters got to that point beforehand. And so we're going forward, but then we're going back. And so momentum was never able to be built, and that was a big issue. And I feel like here, we've already seen that with Rick and Michonne. We've got the reunion, but then episode 2, we're now going to see Michonne and how she got to that point. And whether that format stays the same as the season goes on or into a second season, that is the big thing because we want to keep momentum going. And if he's going to, Scott Gimple as a showrunner, if he's going to keep using this sort of style, I feel like that's going to make people drop off. So far, everything is new and shiny, and I think for fans, they're just so excited to see Rick and Michonne in a new chapter of this universe. With this first episode starting off in such a shocking manner, with Rick cutting off his hand, I think that was a wise idea just to get people straight back into the action, straight back into the gore of The Walking Dead. And then we do get a lot of exposition through conversations. We learn a lot about what's been happening with Rick and why eventually he's become what he is now. And it's a shame that one of the best characters introduced here was Okafor, who doesn't make it past this first episode because he gets killed in a very graphic way, which did remind me quite a bit of The Boys. Not only was Okafor a decent character, but he was also well played by Craig Tate, and in particular a scene where him and Rick have a brawl. I think that was definitely a standout scene because Rick also really shows his chops, shows exactly what he's made of, and also, of course, Andrew Lincoln showing off his acting ability. Other characters introduced in this episode, we had Thorn, we also had General Beale, who was played by Terry O'Quinn, which I think is great casting, by the way. And then we also have Esteban, who I think out of all the characters definitely comes across as the most energetic character, and one where I'm quite intrigued to see what they do with his character. Like the other ones, you sort of have a vague idea, but I'm not so sure of Esteban, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. Through this episode, they do pack in a lot of different ways to show off Rick's mental state, whether that be through him writing letters, contemplating ending his life, and also we do have those dream sequences where we see him and Michonne, where I wouldn't be surprised if maybe later down the line, maybe Carl might appear in one of those sequences as well. Speaking of returning characters, in one scene we see Okafor give a book to Rick and Thorn, and that book is The Art of Peace, which is the same book Morgan had in The Walking Dead, and so maybe we'll see Morgan appear in this show at some point. I hope we don't, because after last time Morgan invaded a spin-off show, it didn't turn out so well, and so I hope they don't go for the Morgan route, but I wouldn't be surprised because of the whole connection with Rick and Morgan.
I don't know you. You do know me. I don't know.
There are still so many questions up in the air, but I'm sure we'll get some answers in these next 5 episodes. And then the next episode, episode 2, we are going to be following Michonne and the characters she meets along the way. Out of the two, you know, if I had to choose between Rick's path and Michonne's would be second. And so I'm intrigued to see how well this one can sort of live up to Rick after such a great first episode. In terms of ratings, The Ones Who Live has done very well, with 896,000 viewers tuning into AMC on Sunday night, which beats out other Walking Dead spin-offs and also The Last of Us, so that really is a great return. Can it though keep up that momentum? That is the big question. And also, why is this show not being aired in the UK and some other regions? What's going on? Please sort that out, AMC, because this is ridiculous. It's a worldwide fan base who want to watch this show. Get it sorted. So yeah, I'm happy to see The Ones Who Live start out strongly, because I tell you what, for those who have watched Fear the Walking Dead Season 8, for example, some of the other crap, I feel like we deserve this. I feel like we deserve some decent content after going through all that shite. So yeah, I'm glad it started off well, and I'm ready to see what's going to happen in the next 5 episodes. And I will be doing reviews for all those episodes, so do keep it locked to the channel. But yeah, do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on this first episode. What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know all those thoughts down there. And if you want to watch another video, on screen is a review for Madam Web.